Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're gonna be moving a plot that I finished on my iMac, the machine that I use primarily for, all types of stuff, Final Cut and all that, editing the YouTube videos. I had that running Chia, and it completed a plot and it was ready to farm. I had 100 gigs of it. Actually, the file comes out to about 104 gigs, more or less. And I had to transfer it on a 1 terabyte USB drive that from another room. So I literally sneaker netted over here over to the rig that we have again, and this is it, right? So I'm gonna just leave it in this angle. I'm also doing a screen record of the transfer itself and what I'm planning to do. It might take a little bit, so most likely I'm gonna skip this part and fast forward it. Once that completes, we'll add it into in Chia, the application, and hopefully we can start farming it and see if we get lucky or not. Hopefully it'll be one of those farms that I actually get a coin, potentially, maybe, hopefully, I think. So stay with me on this one. All right, so as I have that one file copying over to the farm on the main rig, I also actually chose to set up my laptop to actually do a single plot at a time and an additional one queued up behind it. I actually have a spare 2 terabyte drive. Now it's not completely 2 terabytes. It's not empty. It actually has files on there, but nothing that I, critical. So it does have about maybe 700 gigs on it. Now remember, when you do one plot, it's about 400 gigs total while it's doing its temp writing. And when it finalizes, it compresses it back down to like 101 gigs. So that 101 gigs is not going to be farmed on the laptop. It's actually, I'm going to bring it back over to this rig because it has, the 316 terabyte drives. I'm going to put it in there and let it farm and do its thing. Meaning it becomes like a lottery at that point. Once I have enough plots and they're finalized and they're ready to be farmed, that I put them into this machine and take its course and see if it actually, we get lucky and hopefully we can get a Chia coin. That's where I am right now. Actually, so between copying the one plot that I had done on my iMac, I am plotting another one with it additional queued. I have 4 plots running, so I have 4 consecutive in parallel running right now. They're at 16%, so it's doing its thing, it's taking its course. Hopefully within time it can build the momentum and we get enough plots to farm, and then when we have enough farming, one of them or a few of them, or actually it'll be great if all of them wins that lottery and able to get a coin out of it. Lots of work, lots of interesting pieces to put together technically. It's definitely fun, minus the overdrives of GPU fans and CPU fans running, which is one thing I'm pretty impressed with this right now, the course that it has taken in regards to not having to have such powerful machines, but still able to do the farming or at least try to plot and try to get these coins. As it progresses, I will update you guys. I did want to add on the laptop, this is an i5, all right? I'm not sure what generation it is, but you can see there's 4 cores. So what I did when I added the plot was that I specified 2 in queue. So one would run, which is one is plotting right now, okay, and then the second one is queued up. Now, but what I changed was to use 4 threads as opposed to the default 2 threads. So that way, when I go and look, because when I first initiated this to do 2 threads on the first plotting, you saw only 2 of the graphs were going really high, and then the other 2 was just kind of sitting dormant. Now, I'm not using this laptop for any other function besides to plot right now, so I did not have a problem utilizing all 4 threads for just that one plot. Hopefully that can boost it and do it a little quicker. So I will be timing it, and I will have a timestamp of actually when it finishes plotting, so you get a general idea of what an i5 with 4 threads would do for this. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm actually going to be continuing from where I left off last night. It was plotting. I woke up this morning at 6 a.m. right now. I came down to look at the machine and I was freaking out because I didn't know, one, if it was successful or not, and what triggered me to think that it wasn't was because I got this error message. Well, it wasn't an error message, but it had the triangle warning sign, warning and explanation. Is from Chia blockchain, right? So that's on here. Pretty much what it says is the application will stop working at block height 193536. I'm like, all right, so the plots probably failed. But on the flip side of that, so I instantly went on to Google, did a search. There was a Reddit post, which was pretty funny. The first comment, or at least I'll see if I could pull it up right now. So someone asked what the error message was, basically the same message that I got, and it says the first message was, it means the entire project was just a scheme to get you to buy hard drives. Bram and Gene are cashing out on a majority stake in Western Digital and moving to Costa Rica. I thought that was pretty hilarious. But what it actually does mean is that you need to update. If you see this message, you need to update to version 1.1, which was just literally just released. Because I checked my laptop, I installed it yesterday. I also checked version that I had on this rig, and it was 1.0. So, and another comment was like, why couldn't they just say it in that message opposed to giving this very generic response, like generic error message, which was like throwing me off because I was flipping out. But on the flip side of all that, on the good side, is that the plots finished that I had yesterday. So I have a total of it's supposed to be 5 plots because I actually sneakered net a plot over, and it was actually farming yesterday. But it's still saying it's syncing, so I'm guessing it's doing its thing and it's gonna figure out that there's another plot on there. But I should have 5 now, opposed to the 4 that it so far has indicated. Estimated time to win is still not there yet. I just wanted to go over a couple of FAQs that really stood out to me. And I think a lot of people, it will help a lot of you guys as you're watching this to understand as well. One thing that really stood out to me, and I was debating over this, I knew I heard and read about it. And then I asked my partner, and we were like, no, it needs internet all the time, because how is it going to plot without any information? And obviously when it farms, it needs to reach out to the internet. In the FAQ, they said that you do not need internet to plot. It's basically just a machine process that does not require the internet. And I'm going to pull that up in this FAQ. I know I had it somewhere. I know I could just do a quick find as well, but this article isn't all too big. So I think it's in this one. Let me just make sure. Okay. Besides the internet one, I wanted to point out. All right, so it's right here. I had it right here. It's probably because it's like 6 in the morning right now. Do I have to be connected to the internet or synced to plot? No. Plotting can be done entirely offline and needs nothing from the blockchain to complete. That is amazing, because not only are you reducing the overhead of having a connection, you can do it offline, and then when it comes time to farm, then you go to your farming machine, and then it just needs, even when it's on the internet, it doesn't require a constant stream. It doesn't even require high speed, like crazy, insane high speed internet. I mean, most people have decent internet nowadays, right? So even at 100 megs, we consider that slow. I'm actually running on a 200, I think, 2 or 300. I actually forgot. It's been so long since I've revisit the cable company. I don't have files. It's just regular cable. It says if you're lucky enough to win one of them and get the transaction fees, note that one farmer winning is independent. Okay, that's okay. That just leads into, but the whole thing is that you don't really need internet. The only time you have to be online and synced is when you're farming, so that you receive new challenges for the next block and transactions to include in any transaction block if you're lucky enough to win, blah blah blah. So that's amazing. And we were talking about that with my partner and I, that portion only came up because we saw it somewhere in the video, but this is confirming it. This is a FAQ from GitHub by Chia Network themselves. So that explains a lot, because that means I could build out these workstations regardless if it has internet or not. I could start plotting. As long as I have a destination drive that can fit the 101 gig plot files and transfer them over to a machine that is going to be online and farming, then it makes it that much easier. So that's one. The second thing I wanted to bring up was that, and I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head right now because it's so early in the morning. I probably just need a sip of coffee with my Walt Disney cup. Okay, yeah. So now I remember. So I actually have I have two of these Lenovo's, these really tiny small form factors, and these are actually running i7s. Now I don't know what generation they are. They did come with Windows 98, so you kind of can estimate during what time frame that was. Which is pretty dated back since Windows 7 and then Windows 8. But besides the case, I don't see any dates on this. But I'm sure if I looked up the serial number or the asset tags, I would be able to determine when these were built and manufactured. But any case, that means I could build this machine now without internet because these don't have on in any Wi-Fi connected to it. You actually need to plug in USB dongles, which I do have. But besides that point is that I can actually utilize these now. Being an i7, these were really decent machines. I mean, these were not cheap when they were brought brand new. But the other thing is I learned is that when you're running the Chia, whether it's the GUI, you should run these guys, if you're on the same network, you should run these guys as harvesters. And there is a whole section in this FAQ how to do that. Because what the one reasoning is that if you run the Chia GUI on this while you have another one running, so that's basically two of the same application reaching out to the internet. Because if you know, when you run the GUI, it syncs your wallet and then it syncs whatever you have if you're farming. So if you do that, even though this machine is not going to act as a farmer, it's still going to sync the wallet. So it's still that constant synchronization to reflect the information back to this particular machine. It's going to take some of the internet away. Not a whole lot, but it's pretty much where it's not necessary. That's the point that's given. It's like even though you're losing 5 cents out of your pocket every other second or whatever it is, the intervals that it checks to make sure that sync is in place, why would you want to lose 5 cents every second while you can just keep it separate and not lose anything? Just have one guy lose 5 cents and have this guy keep all the processing and all the other stuff going on, and all that it needs to do within this machine and nothing else, right? So that's pretty cool that can happen. So I learned that. Now I know because the laptop that I have running with another plot was connected, and I noticed that it was syncing and it was processing and it was doing its thing. So I could remove all that now. I could eliminate that process and just have it plot. Now the laptop, it was more of a test to see if it can even stand its own grounds in plotting. It is an i5, but a much older machine. The processor generation and probably the memory. I mean, this laptop wasn't built for anything very specific. It was mainly just used for browsing. So plotting probably wasn't its best feature. There's no SSD in it, and the drive that I was writing to, it was just an external 2 terabyte drive. That whole process is going to be slow. It was over probably 10 hours, and I came back and I looked at it and it was like only at 16%. So definitely not worth the time with that one. And I could probably reduce certain things to make it a little faster. Let's just say I removed internet, got it off the application, and just used it as a harvester to plot. It probably wouldn't even make much of a difference. It really depends on the processor and the hard drive and the memory at that point. That's pretty much what I wanted to do. I think those were the two things that I learned that were really crucial. And of course, I'm going to do more videos to kind of get technical about, some people ask me how I did the plots, right? And I actually responded to one of the comments in my last video on the mathematical equation to do all that, which is pretty simple. And I'll probably just do it now, but I'll detail it in a diagram in my next video. Basically, if you have a 8 core, one plot by default uses 2 threads. That's 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 4 plots for an 8 core. 8 cores running in parallel all depends on how much space you have in your temp. Chia, they're saying that each plot, while it's building out this temp directory, I believe it's 300 and it's like 300 plus gigs. But I want to see, I know it was like 330 something.
I'm probably not going to find it so fast right now, but let's just estimate it. Let's just worst case scenario. Let's just say it's 400 gigs. So that's 4 times 4. That's 16. So it's 1.6 terabytes that you would need in your temp space in order for you to build out these plots and finalize it. When it converts over, it'll be 1.1 gig each plot. So while it's temping, it's 400 gigs. After it's temping, it becomes 101 gig. So that's where you kind of get the idea that you need these hard drive space, because the more you're plotting, the more 101 gig plot files that you're building. So if you had like one plot, it's 101 gigs. You had 2 plot, it's 202 gigs. So on and so forth. So the reasoning behind the mass amount of hard drive space is so that you have it there, and when you're farming, you can do all these plots all at once. You don't have to you're only limited to because of the size of these plots, they're 101 gigs. Question was, how many parallel plots can I run at the same time? So 1, it depends on your processor. 2, it depends on how much space you have, and 3, it does depend on how much memory you have as well, because you want to make sure you have enough to accommodate that and still let the machine do its own thing and staying up. It still has the ability to make sure it's not losing any resources, and you start experiencing the worst thing would be you're running these plots and it's taking up your resources CPU wise and memory wise, that you can barely even move the mouse over to hover over anything. You do not want that. And obviously you would try to, if you come into that situation, obviously you have to run less plots. Basic concept there. So I want to thank you guys. I know this video ran a little longer. I made some clips from yesterday and I'm just adding it on to today. Hope you guys find this one useful and helpful as well. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so, and I appreciate you guys. All these new subscribers. My subscribers count doubled in the last day or two based on this whole Chia stuff, and I'm just enjoying it as much